starting record. Recording's nice. So yeah, Twitch. I am here with. Oh hey, Thesis, dude. Nice to see you. But yeah, I'm gonna be. Let's do. Lucio bot like we usually do. Yeah, so this one's gonna be posted on YouTube. For people that don't know, in the live stream, and for people on the YouTube, this is usually live streamed. We're trying to do 5:30 on Fridays. So now, but yeah, pretty much. So yeah, her gun, long range, doesn't do a lot of damage. The damage is present, and that's actually a very important deal. Is her damage is present. And that's important for like fair engagements. People don't really realize how well or how decent Fair v Sombra is, just because of they say, oh, she has bad damage. But the thing that people have to realize is not everyone's getting healing all the time, and so that's a big part of it. So yeah, that's how that's set up there. So you can see how it just, I can't really do a lot of damage. But, of course, we're doing consistent damage and aiming. Of course, this is didn't do a lot of warm-up. Did a little bit, but not too much. So, please be kind with my aim. Also, I changed my sensitivity, so that's it as well. So you can see we've charged our ult pretty fast. She's one of the fastest ult charges in the game, I believe. The only one that might be faster is Symmetra's ult charge. But yeah. So yeah, pretty much there. If you hit your shots, you can kill someone pretty fast. You can do basically like a one clip thing that Tracer tries to do. You can do it in less than that clip if you're good, but the problem is the kill time's a little slower, and it's a lot harder to do. We're just going to be covering the main basic stuff. If any of you have questions, I can answer them. I have it set up now so that I can actually see chat. So if you guys have any questions, feel free. But yeah, so her gun, pretty piddly, but it's semi-consistent. And in a game with Hanzo in it, consistency's pretty good. What's funny is that the Overwatch team actually called her as an opportunist. And if you've played her in Deathmatch, you'll notice she is much of an opportunist, which is pretty interesting because you see behind walls, we can see people half health or lower, for people that don't know. We'll end up in the advanced stuff. I'm just covering a lot of basic stuff, but yeah, so we can see people at half health behind walls, and of course our damage can be there. What's fun is her E ability has a 4-second cooldown, which is cool, which means a couple of things. One, her shift boosts your speed, I think, by 30%, or somewhere around there. You're invisible for like 5 seconds, and when you come out of invisibility, you have this delay before you can use any abilities. And if you try to use any abilities while invisible, you will become visible, but with a short delay. The only thing that you can do that's instant is using your translocator and then use an ability. So like translocator, ult, that works better than shifting into an ult because there's a delay. So see, yeah. So I'll show you again. I'll go invisible and I'll tell you when I start shooting. Gotcha. Yeah, so there's a delay, which is kind of annoying, and I think there could be a lot more fun things you can do with Sombra if there was absolutely no delay, just because of how annoying that is, and how like almost minuscule Sombra's role in the meta is today. So there is still a couple of things you can do with Sombra, and that's what we're going to cover, and some possibilities that you can have with her. So now let's continue. So yeah, shooting her shift. What's cool about her shift is, watch this. So I can use E, translocate, go invisible, and then your E will come off cooldown while you're still invisible. And you can pretty much do that. So I usually like to use E to just get added mobility, and then throw my translocator right before I become visible. So also your shift, you kind of become visible if you get damaged or affected by any AoE kind of stuff. So if you get booped, yeah, you're kind of screwed. So yeah, you can see we're up here, we're chilling. Another thing as well is the translocator, where it lands and where you'll land when you translocate to it is very different. So if you watch, I'll throw this.
I might need this later. I'm out of
here. So you could see that it landed up there on the top, but it didn't work like you'd think.
Been here all
so
along.
That's one thing to notice, is the distance is a little unknowing. Can't really see it that often. Another cool thing is if you stealth right after your, or you can do a stealth E. So we'll just use this. So we can actually translocate to it and just immediately go invisible, which is cool.
Gotcha.
And of course you can, there's a certain thing that you can do where you stealth midair when you translocate. So when you do this, the translocator basically doesn't really give much like information. Oh, that went across to the other side. So it doesn't really give much information behind where you are. So it's pretty good to use to dodge stuff. But you can see as well is once we use translocator, we have 15 seconds to teleport to it. So that's one of the big things as well. So next part, we'll get to the shift and then ult. See? So there's not really a lot of instant uses, mainly just because when you want to do the invisible translocator so that you can use your translocator, well, the invisible to your EMP so that you don't have to use your translocator and you can use the translocator to get out instead. But it's just kind of how it works. Of course, right click hacks health packs, like you can see. It also hacks enemies. It will basically make it so that they can't use any abilities or shift between passives or stuff like that. If I hack Lucio, he can't switch to healing right now since he is on speed boost, but he'll stay on speed boost and passives aren't nullified. So he'll still get speed through all that and life will be decent for him, but he can't use any abilities during that 6 seconds, and we can see when he has ultimate, and so it'll show a little icon. EMP hits everyone, it destroys shields as well, and it hacks health packs, and a hacked health pack, depending on if it's a bigger one, there's like a rate at which it will recharge a health pack faster, but big ones basically give you a 250 healing per second, and I believe the smaller one gives you I think like 70 healing per second, which isn't too bad, honestly. No, it's not 250, it's 50 healing per second, and then the small one gives you like I think 15 healing per second, which in comparison isn't too good. 250 is a little too much. You can see how fast we get our ultimate. We can technically, and this is where a lot of Sombra strategies come from, is we can get our ultimate every team fight if we work it right. And basically, and I think this is the time in which we're going to start talking about actual strategies. Besides also saying that your ultimate breaks barriers, but does not go through barriers. So let's say Zarya uses her bubble on herself. Then when you basically use your ultimate, the bubble disappears. So you break the bubble instantly. But she is not hacked, and she does not lose her shields, because her shields also get destroyed along with barriers as well when you ult. So you also counter Lucio's ult as well. So that's one thing. So yeah, that's basic stuff with Sombra. Now into strategies. Sombra's mainly been used map specific. Started out a while ago as people using her offensively, which there was a small few that basically said, why are you using her offensively? And people said, well, you can charge her ultimate and use it to just win games. And then they realized that defending on the health packs are actually better. And that was one strategy that came across, was defending on the health packs. And it took a little bit for it to be used until it was used, I believe, on Volskaya. And then people started using it there. Anubis is one map that I actually really am intrigued with possibilities with Sombra, and really confused why certain people don't take those possibilities. Because interesting fact is Sombra has a lot more capabilities than just a defensive charge of ENP. So basically, we'll go through the maps real quick and talk about all the strategies with her on each specific map, since there are a lot of map-specific stuff. So defense on first point with a Sombra, it has a plus or minus, and this is very interesting. It's usable. It can happen. The problem is the entire first point is so I would like to say messed up, and it's mainly because it's usually defend either with an Orisa standing up here using the two lanterns comp, which is interesting to say because that's actually what the pros are using now. So I guess my comp's now being used in Overwatch League. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist with that. But you'll see like an Orisa either up here with a Widowmaker, or you'll see the entire team like spanned across the entire point. So what happens is with a Sombra, you want to have people use your health packs because you get a lot of ult charge when people get healed off of your health packs. The problems that occur is if the team can't play around those health packs or won't, then the Sombra kind of loses their effectiveness. And therefore what happens is you're likely to not get EMP in the first fight, but in the second fight once you lose the first point. And you'll see that quite often. If someone uses a Sombra on first point, they'll usually lose that first point if the teams are relatively evenly matched. Just because the Sombra will try to get an EMP up, but people can't really play around the health packs that easily. And if you do, there's problems. So you could play around this health pack, but the problem is every single time your team needs healing, they need to jump up here, go around the corner, and get healing. They can't really stand and get healed. The other option is down here below, which is something I kind of like. This one is actually half decent. I kind of like this one. This is the only reason why I would say a first point Sombra could work, is because of that health pack. Up here, of course, you have this one that you can use as just a denial. But honestly, if you're running a dive, you're not going to be using this very much. That's a lot of this is dive does not work with this Sombra on first point. It's more of a slower. So that's why I'm saying that it's just it's a little. It just doesn't feel too good. Technically, I think you can have 5 health packs hacked at a time, because it takes 60 seconds for it to basically come down and unhack itself, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so this health pack's pretty beneficial, but it's a small health pack, so you're not really getting a lot of bang for your buck. But it works. It's a thing. I do, on the other hand, prefer a offensive Sombra on first point. And the main reason is because you can do some easy things where you throw the translocator up here and you basically bounce around. You can get onto this point, cause mayhem and madness. Your team can basically, because usually how I see first point Anubis is you have a couple of routes. So you have 2 routes if you're a death ball. You have about 3 routes if you're a dive. So basically the death ball ones / dive are left room around here, where you can hack the health pack and use this room to just kind of poke, because sometimes it'll be right here. And you can basically use this room as your hideout, charge up EMP, and then push in. You can also do this cool thing where you throw the translocator through the window, and that works pretty beneficial, and you can EMP that way. That's why I like offensive Sombra, but you never see offensive Sombra, which is kind of a shame. Right side, of course, you go around here. You have 3 health packs that you walk by, which can be beneficial, but then you get to this big one up here, and your team can pretty much get on top of here and do poke or just dive from there. And basically what happens is you create a base for yourself and for your team to go and pull off what I call an assassination comp. And that's one thing we're going to cover later as well with Sombra and new Sombra strategies. So that's basically what I would do for first point Anubis. Is I would preferably want to be offensive, and the reason why is so that we can take advantage of these health packs and do poke onto the point or whatever. Because an interesting fact is offense doesn't need to be onto the point until everyone's dead. Defense needs to be on the point if they're going to lose the point. And so the problem is if you're stuck on the point, then you can't utilize her health packs. And that's where Sombra kind of goes down. That's why an offensive Sombra is pretty good on this point. So let's go ahead and move to second point. So second point defense is pretty good. This is pretty much the only reason why defensive Sombra on second point Anubis is good. And will pretty much, in my opinion, be the only reason why you would run her on this, unless you're running, you want to run the Sombra for some reason, which we'll cover reasons why you'd want to run a Sombra as well. There's also other health packs, one to this right side, and then there's one right as you walk in the doorway or in there. So I kind of like this. The other thing is to remember is there's a lot of close-in stuff, so you need to be very exact where you EMP. Make sure you get up above these boxes, or else you're going to get screwed by the boxes. So that's pretty much stuff with Anubis. Let's go ahead, go back to lobby, settings, maps. Okay, so Hanamura. Yeah, there's a Hanamura strategy. So we'll cover the Hanamura strategy. Get through it. I can take questions whenever you guys have any. Go ahead and post in chat whenever you have questions. Okay. So the Sombra strategy is mainly with point A, with the idea to possibly snowball into point B. Pretty decent that way. You can also, there's a health pack to the right of the point that you can hack as well. I'm also not against doing a Sombra defense here. I'm kind of on it. Mainly because you would hack the health pack back here. And your team will stand on this high ground and basically start moving back into it if you need any extra support. And then get EMP. And then you kind of do this idea of you turtle and then you attack when you have EMP. So you basically turtle to charge EMP and then you move on.
Be right back. See you later.
The next one is offensive Sombra, and this is pretty decent because you hack this health pack, and you hack the other health pack in this room. So you hack this one as well, and you basically use 2 large health packs, charge up EMP really quick, and you throw it above, and then you EMP on top of them, and that's pretty much how you would do that. So it's pretty quick and simple. Not too many stuff. You can also use it as an aggro defense, where you defend actually in front of the choke point. It's a possibility, and use those 2 health packs. Not too bad. Lunar Colony, not too big a fan of. You could possibly do it offensively if you use one of the health packs on the left or the right and just charge it up and do that turtle and attack technique we talked about. Volskaya is probably the most entertaining Sombra point that you can do. I kind of like it personally. Basically, there's a lot of strategies behind how to play and or deal with this comp. Usually, You run a Sombra either in a dive or a
Beacon
death ball. Either one will work. But what happens is the Sombra will go and hack. Oh. So the Sombra will go and hack this one, and she'll hack the other one underneath here. And then basically what you're going to do is you're going to run into the choke point, like so. So you're going to run into the choke point, and of course with your translocator, your translocator would be up, but you would basically just shoot and then jump back at your translocator and get like 50% of your ultimate instantly. And then lag happens. I don't know what's going on. That was a weird... But yeah, you'll basically do that where you'll just jump in and start getting ult charge, and then as they start coming in, you're gonna go over them and ult above them, and then your team just kind of snowballs from there. That's the strategy to defend. Also, usually your team will hold on the low ground. High ground on this defensively is pretty bad. So, if you're running a Sombra. If you're not running a Sombra, then it's a must. It's kind of weird. This is kind of when we covered how we do pressure, mainly just because there's a lot of pressure that will be exerted at this front door, but all you just do is you stand in the health packs and just poke. And poke, you go around. You poke, you go around. Whereas if you're up here on the high ground, you lose that advantage of getting health. And sometimes you'll get like high ground advantage kind of styles with corners, because you can peek corners, and then ult, and then win from there. So that's how you do that. I'm gonna go ahead and remove him, and I'll cover attacking, because attacking is a lot more entertaining than defending. So there's 3 ways to attack. It doesn't matter what comp you're really running. One of them kind of does, but it really doesn't otherwise. So the first one, which is an option, is you go around left side. This is if you have a really poke heavy comp that is just good for poke. So we just take this left direction, we go up here, and we just start shelling out into there, and we get poke damage. So this is good for like death balls. Yeah, pretty much it's a death ball direction. The next one. Oh, and also when you're attacking and you probably figured there's a Sombra, just shoot around. Even if there's not a Sombra, just shoot around, because you'll probably hit her. And once you hit her, she has to get out, and she kind of loses a lot of stuff she can do. So the other strategy is around here. Kidding! Don't do that. Don't go in that direction. That was a joke. And I'll show you why it's a joke real quick. So to get to them, you have to go down this long hallway without getting shot. We talked about pressure. You and I both know that's not going to happen. The actual one is going through this archway and going around this back staircase, going up and above, and then kind of doing that, and then just jumping down on top of them, kind of doing a surround, and then you displace them from the health pack, and you kind of move them out and kill them. The other one basically does the same thing. We go around this right side with a Sombra, and we hack the bottom health pack, and we're going to hack this top health pack. Basically, this last one, you need a Sombra offensively. So you hack the 2 health packs, and the idea is you try to get EMP before the other team, jump into here and EMP. That's pretty much how it works. And then you win. The problem is it takes forever, and is based on the idea that you think you have a better Sombra. It's a foolproof if you know you have a better Sombra, but besides that, not too good. Second point is okay. People will still run her, but she's not as good as she is on first point. This is your health pack that you're gonna love, along with this health pack up here. And then there's a health pack around back, which you might use. Not guaranteed, but it's a possibility. And then you'll just do the same thing. This choke point's pretty good because you can just boom EMP on top. And you can do this trick where you go boom, and you'll like run around up here, and then you'll jump down and shoot. So it allows you to get onto the high ground and then engage. So it's stuff kind of like that.
I might need this later. Translocating.
So you basically kind of dance around until your translocator's back up, and then you shoot. That's a trick that not a lot of people use. Which, again, don't know why. Just the whole vertical movement, because some people kind of get locked with the idea that translocator is like Tracer's recall. Which, yeah, it can be, but it's not all the time. It's an actual movement tool. Eichenwald. There's some points where I can see it, but there's not really anything too interesting. Hollywood. There's a left health pack strategy where you go around the left side when you go through the first choke point on offense, and you get that big health pack in that room. I don't think I need to go and cover it specifically. King's Row, you can use the health pack in either the hotel or you can use it in the cinema. I prefer the hotel a little more, and just basically use it as the main center because that's a health pack that's used often as well. That'd be the only reason why I would use it. Second point, you can use it in that one at the, I believe it's a cafe, I can't remember exactly. Besides that, not too big of a fan on third point. You could do it in that side room, or that little like alcove right next to the objective like end point. Ilios, nah. You don't really like King of the Hill, mainly just because you want your team to be moving in a direction and a reason for you to have a health pack. Oasis on University. That's the one with the pit in the center that doesn't have you fall off the cliff. There's that health pack down below that you can hack and then have people jump in and out if you dive. And then there's the side health pack on the side. Really the only reason why you would run a Sombra is for that. Besides that, nothing much. Dorado. I kind of like Dorado if you're trying to break a choke. And basically the idea is you would hack the health pack. Let me just go. Actually, make sure that. Let's just go to Dorado. Let's just do it. Some good stuff in here. Not perfect. It's not the best thing to use. I just kind of find it beneficial personally. But it's a thing.
Everything can
so
be
let's
hacked,
go.
And everyone. Beacon in place. See you later.
So you can use that technique where you translocate and then shift and then translocate to get up here and do some work. The health pack on over here is a pretty safe health pack that not a lot of people deal with. You can use it pretty well. Another thing to do is just kind of dance around on high grounds with the translocator. Use it a lot more liberally on high grounds when it's very high ground specific. This health pack's pretty good if you're defending. If you're on top of the high ground back here, this is a pretty good health pack too. And just make sure your team knows where the health pack is and tell them to use it. Otherwise, that's the thing also is if you're solo queuing, a Sombra is pretty useless. But yeah. So you can basically be on high ground. On offense, there's one strategy that you can use where you basically hack this health pack, and then what you do, let me get this going.
I might need this later.
So you basically go over, you do it a lot more seamlessly. You can use them both at the same time, and then you pretty much shoot, and then you go back and you have a health pack, and you're completely out of danger. That's the strategy. It's also good if you're running a team to just jump over this wall. I like it personally.
I'm out of here.
But yeah, you can just jump around You kind of have to kill that 5 seconds of time before you can... you kind of have to wait for that cooldown. So that's the only downside, is you kind of have a time frame. I kind of like a Sombra attack on this if the other team's like running some type of cheese that's supposed to be a full hold cheese on this first point. The Sombra is pretty nice in that aspect.
See you later. ¿Extrañaste?
Yeah. So there's that. There's a health pack down there. Not the worst thing in the world. This health pack's not too bad for personal use,
Hey there.
to just kind of get in here. This one, not too bad if you're pushing a team through here. I'm liking more of the Moira Sombra stuff lately, and I kind of like the idea of basically setting up kind of like a base around a health pack and then pushing through chokes with Moira, and then just disrupt on the backside. Basically damage stacking as well. So that's pretty much it with this map. Pretty quick and simple. It's an option. It's not a thing that's like, oh, this is meta. And honestly, at this moment, none of them really are. Junkertown. Let's cover Junkertown mainly for the fact of Sombra's pretty good against a Bastion. Pretty decent. And you don't have to hack the Bastion either. All you have to do is just remove the shields. That's what people kind of don't really realize, is once you get the shields out, the Bastion's dead anyways. So yeah, you can hack this health pack and basically just have your team be up here. The other thing is if you are attacking, you can do a sneaky little maneuver around this side where they can't see you. And you basically
Be right back.
do that, and then you shoot, go surprise, hack the Bastion, whatever, or
See you
Orisa,
later.
you know, do the thing, Reinhardt, whatever. This one,
Gotcha.
you can hack the health pack down here. I kind of like a first point Sombra on defense or offense, just because of the utility to counter the Bastion or whatever cheese kind of awaits you, and just breaking that, because Sombra has this cool thing that she does where she can guarantee you a game, basically one fight. She can guarantee you a win on a fight, almost. I say almost because you can really screw it up if you really do, but you basically can get a team fight win out of a Sombra at some point. Especially if you're using her for like an entire map, you'll eventually get an ultimate that does something. This health pack's pretty nice. I like the first point, like choke up, where you defend first point, because an interesting fact is if your team is up here and you're contesting this payload, and the last person dies, then it starts moving. Your entire team, if their entire team's on it, your entire team will respawn as it hits here and already be rounding the corner. So it's a pretty good option to use, and that's if you're right here, and you can end up like some people think that this is really the choke point, which it kind of is, but the real choke point is around this corner when that sight line opens up. And that's where you want to hold. And so you can set up to hold easily if you choke up first point. It's literally just free. And you can use it to not allow the Bastion to set up, because an interesting fact, the best way to get a Bastion off of a payload is not let it on in the first place. So that's why people lose to the Bastion pirate ship. People call it the pirate ship. I kind of like it as the mobile tank, or the old meme strat that people used to do that are now meta, which is funny. But yeah, if you don't let the Bastion set up, you're pretty safe. Eventually, I will confess, eventually your team will lose, unless you completely are stomping them. You should lose this spot right here, and the idea is you're just stalling for time, because honestly, if they're running a Bastion and you're having problems with the Bastion, you're not going to have any good luck until third point. So what you want to do is you want to stall for as much time as possible and possibly prevent the Bastion from doing anything, and then you have a second chance, which on a lot of points isn't much of an option. You don't have that option that often. And then there's a health pack behind that wall as well that you can use, and a health pack in here. If I actually remember right, is it a large health pack? No, it's a small health pack. Yeah, it's a small health pack. So yeah, you can do that. So either way, I'm not too big of a fan of an offensive Sombra unless you need to just like remove defensive Bastion. That would be the only reason why I would do it, is if you need to win the Bastion Bastion fight. Third point, I'm not too big of a fan of, mainly because there's not a lot of ways to get in. Once that door closes, the best ways for Sombra to get in is through a very narrow area, because basically I can stand right here and I can shoot anyone that tries to come in. If we look at the pressure we have here, boom, pressure is exerted here, here, and here. There's absolutely no way they can come in without getting shots shot at them. And so that's why a Sombra is pretty trash third point, mainly because people will be spamming. Junkrat is pretty popular, Bastion's pretty popular, defensive and offensive, and you'll get shot most of the time as you're going through. If you don't get shot, then this kind of area is pretty nice. Health packs around it are pretty nice. The problem is you would have to leave the payload at some point, and I would basically use this to break a Bastion. Only reason why I would run the Sombra on this map really is to break a Bastion, or to guarantee a win. Because that's another thing as well. The best way to break a Bastion is... Never mind, hold on. I'll actually continue. An interesting thing with the Bastion is it's a very win or lose comp. So what happens is and the reason why it was bad on other maps and why it's good on this one is because all you really need is for the defense to win one fight. All you need to do is win one fight. And basically, if you get EMP,
always leave yourself a back door.
Boom, land straight on the Bastion, EMP. If you die, you die. It doesn't matter. But you displace the Bastion. And if your team does it right, the Bastion can't get back on. So basically, you can almost guarantee yourself at some point displacing the Bastion, and that will allow you to not let them finish the map running the Bastion strat. So it's a pretty good way to counter a Bastion. If you're not countering a Bastion, not really too big of a fan. So let's go ahead and pick none so we can move on. Route 66. I'll be honest, I don't really like the Sombra on Route 66. The only one possible would be first point, and that would just be to get that health pack in the cave. But besides that, your team's not going to be dancing around that. You're going to be mostly on the high ground. You want high ground. Just because if you're constantly going out of your cave to jump on high ground, it's just a bad deal. So I'm not too big of a fan with it on Route 66. Gibraltar was the first place that Sombra was pretty much used by Luminosity way back when. And it was mainly used as an offense move where you would go underneath the car wash area and you would hack that health pack and then you would just charge EMP and then win first point. It was one of those older strategies with Sombra, and some newer strategies are based around slow, methodical, waiting for an ultimate and then engaging with that ultimate. So a lot of it was you would go down here around the side. You'd hack this health pack right here. Personally, I like more of a defensive Sombra on here, mainly because you can now run, because this is a large health pack, so it's nice. You can run the server room defense strat. That was an old one before Sombra was ever brought out. But you can run that server room strat, and it works pretty well. Just defend on the health pack. If they start basically what you want to do is you want to bait them, and so they'll start pushing into you, and you just round around. Your team just starts using the edges, and they have to kind of get through to you. And you put your most valuable player, which, well, let's be honest, is probably the Zen, so that the Zen doesn't get shot. And then you just have them sit on the health pack for days. So yeah, that's pretty nice. I like that pretty much. Sombra on second point, I like pretty well, mainly because you can get the health pack in the shuttle and the health pack right here. And basically it allows you to gain a little more advantage on getting control of the shuttle, which is a key to this point, is getting control. So you can use the high ground, you can pretty much use whatever. Because the high ground's kind of the style where you get up there, you do your thing, you jump off. You can basically do this. And then get back. I did that one a little too late. Oh well. But yeah, you can do that there pretty easily. Third point. Third point, you can use the whole charge up ult. You can also use... I kind of like this offensively, just because your team can just hook around and start creating a presence. And that's a lot of the stuff with Sombra comps, is creating presence. Believe... Yeah, covered that there. 3v3 comps? Nah, not too big. Not too big of a fan. We'll go to King's Row, the tried and true. So yeah, basically, then the other strategy, which is a strategy I like and not a lot of people use. This is one that I like to pull out every so often, and it's basically the I'm playing Sombra, so I instantly win kind of card.
See you later.
And it's very like small window, but you'll see it often. It doesn't matter what map you're playing.
Initiating the hack.
What you do is if you played and you push the cart or whatever, usually it's the payload, or you got 2 CP all the way through or something like that. Basically, you completed the map with time sparing, and the other team completes the map with time sparing. Then what happens is, and this is usually what happens, is you don't get a lot of time when you get checkpoints. Heck, on payloads, you don't get time when you hit checkpoints after you went through the first time. So the idea behind it is, since you, during that second push, all you have to do is win one fight, offensively and or defensively. So you do is you just charge up your ult and you win the fight. You displace them in overtime. So you pretty much win the fight in overtime. And then that's it. Because usually it hits on overtime, and then the cart, if, like, God forbid, it gets pushed across the entire map, pretty much. And so that's how that works there. Hey, Garrett says, 3v3 Sombra Tracer Soldier. Oh, yeah. There's that idea. That's if you have health packs. And pretty much... Soldier, I can see the Soldier. I would almost want, like, Farah or something like that. Because you would want a character that you know couldn't get shot that easily. Mainly just because, for example, in this situation, you'd have a Sombra Tracer Soldier. The Sombra Tracer can do whatever the hell they want. They can go around, they can hack health packs, whatever. It's just a grand old time. But what happens is the Soldier can't really run around and dodge and all that kind of stuff. And so the Soldier, if the other team's smart, is going to just get dove and get killed on the spot. Because he can't really do much unless stand on the health pack. Which is possible, but since you're running a very mobile comp. But almost, yeah, it's kind of weird to fill in that third spot. Soldier can possibly work. But yeah. So yeah, pretty much it's a win card. So you get your ultimate and you win. And that's pretty much how it works there. People usually use that same idea with Zarya, where they know they have to win the fight at some point. So they'll play a Zarya and use her to just win. It's usually when you're defending and you pushed very far and the other team has to match you. And so what you do is you know your window in which you have to win the fight at some point, and then you just basically create that window and just pour
Let's
everything
get
into
started.
stopping. And so that's one strategy that I like. The other strategy is an actual team comp. So let's. I just realized it's kind of hard to kill myself, so I'm gonna
Gotcha.
basically try to get back into the spawn room so I can show the hero screen. So the idea is you're playing Sombra. I call this the assassination comp. Fairly new. You can run it with a Mercy, but I'm kind of holding this one off until Mercy gets pulled out of the meta, mainly because it works better against a non-Mercy comp. So the idea is you're running a Sombra Tracer, mainly because they can get around fast. You can't hit them that easily, and the health pack and Tracer combo does pretty good. Along with hacking and pulse bomb, that works well too. You can hack a diva and then have her get pulse bombed, all that kind of good stuff. I like that. Tank wise, diva and Winston, and it's because they can just jump. They can jump, run wherever they want. The Winston provides consistent damage along with Tracer and Sombra. It's consistent damage that Sombra is a little sketchy. I'll say that, but you're providing consistent damage that you do over time, and you know you're doing that damage. The diva is there for burst damage and mobility, so you know all of that kind of stuff. Diva, it's diva, so this is kind of like a dive comp style. It's a very aggressive dive comp. The next one, Lucio and Moira. And the reason why you're running the Lucio and Moira is because they're very hard to get dived. It's very hard to dive a Lucio Moira backline. Mainly because the Lucio, if he's good enough, will pretty much not die from a dive. Usually, if the Lucio knows what they're doing, a dive can't kill a Lucio. Mainly just because the Lucio can amp it up heal boost and then just get out. And then the entire team can move out. And it's pretty easy to disengage with a Lucio. So that's kind of the main reason. That, and he's slippery. Granted, as the higher you get up, the less slippery it is. But Lucio's pretty solid for this just because of his mobility. That and his defensive ult. You like his defensive ult. It pretty much will solve a lot of problems. I suggest always running at least one defensive ult, either Lucio or Zenyatta. Mercy, people can argue for. I'm kind of so-so on it. I prefer the Zen Lucio mainly because the Mercy can't save herself, so it's not going to stop. A Mercy ult is not going to stop a soldier ult, and that's really usually the basis I fall on, is it doesn't solve that problem, and it doesn't save you from a Graviton Surge. So that's why I don't really classify it. That, and if she gets nerfed, which she is, don't know exactly what's going to be nerfed because the PTR has a pretty hefty nerf on her. But yeah, we'll figure that one out down the road. Moira is basically the key to this along with Sombra. And the reason why I call this an assassination comp is because it's pretty much the most mobile comp you can have. Besides if you switch out one of the tanks for Pharah. So you can switch out the Winston for a Pharah if you want to, or the Diva for a Pharah if you want to. But the idea is the Moira does burst healing with her healing orb and all that stuff, which is hands-off healing. Very similar to Sombra. Sombra does a hands-off healing tactic, where you don't have to worry about using the healing. You just throw your orb or use a health pack, and it just goes without you. Also, her damage orb placed in the right spot is pretty impressive. So the idea is you throw the damage orb, you start doing damage to someone. You pretty much pick someone out. So if someone's running a dive and you throw this damage orb to someone who's not grouped up with their team, which usually happens in some cases, and then basically call it out, the Tracer and the Sombra will just swarm because the Tracer can one clip a 200 health target if they're good. So let's say 100 health, the Tracer can do burst. Sombra can do the same thing, but let's say 50 health burst. And then you add the Moira orb in it, and basically you just need a little more time past then. If your team is just like potato aim, pretty much. And so the idea behind it is the Moira's doing like 50 damage with the orb, or heck, even more. And of course the Sombra's doing damage, and the Tracer's doing damage. And that's even discounting the idea of Lucio jumping in, D.Va jumping in, Winston jumping in. So pretty much the idea is you hard engage on one target and you get out. So the moment you kill someone, you just pull out and you let them come to you, and that's when you start using the health packs. So that's kind of what happens is you engage hard and you turtle. And then you wait for them to, because a lot of the times what a team will do, if they know what they're doing, and you can bait this really well, if they lose someone before the fight starts, which happens with this, you go super aggressive, like spawn kill or something like that. And you do that, and then you just get out. And so what they do is go, oh, well, crap. They'll try their best to kill you on the way out. But then they're like, okay, so we need to kind of figure out what the heck just went on. We need to get the person respawned and then re-engage. And so that's what they'll do, is they'll respawn, and the moment they respawn, they get attacked again. And then they go, okay, we just have to engage them when they leave. So then they start running to you, and now you're on the health pack getting healing, and then you just win the fight because it's a 6v5. So that's pretty much how it works. You do this, and there is like the idea of it's sketchy if you if they try it's sketchy if you lose the engagement, and that's pretty much the idea. Is it's all based off of engagement. You set up a kill, and you have two people that are high mobility, kill them, and if not, the Moira can jump in with high mobility and kill them, and then you can snowball from there. That's a worst case scenario, is if you have to have the Moira jump in, and by jump in I mean she uses shift, gets into the fight, and then continues. But then once that's done, Lucio, boom, speed boost or heal boost or whatever, out. Moira shifts, out. Tracer blinks, out. Sombra recalls, out. Winston jumps out. D.Va jumps out. So you don't have that problem of the Zenyatta, stuck. You don't have that problem of the Soldier, stuck. And then if they try to dive you, guess what happens? They dive on Sombra. Sombra runs away. They dive on Tracer. Tracer runs away. They dive on D.Va. The D.Va can't get dived that easily because she's a tank, along with Winston. They can still jump out. That's an option. But diving a tank is pretty terrible and would almost be a fight you would want to engage in if they dive your tank. Lucio can barely be dived. Basically, they have to be really good at what they're doing in order to kill the Lucio. But the Lucio is like preparing himself. Most of the time, the Lucio will survive. You can do that easily. Moira, boom, shift, out. That's it. You're done. You're out of the fight. You basically counter dive directly. And then you also counter Death Ball because you throw the Sombra at them in EMP, and you just engage over on them. So you have the great benefits of dive against Death Ball without having the dive problem. It's a good counter against dive. So that's my comp, the comp that I've been working on recently. I'm still waiting with the Hanzo comp, mainly just because I'm waiting for them to announce a buff for him before I come out with a broken comp. An interesting fact is it runs a Hanzo. But yeah, so that's pretty much the ideas that we have here. Now I'm going to open up a Q&A, questions and answers. So anyone have any questions on stuff, I can go ahead and basically answer them. So go ahead and add any questions in the chat, and I'll just be messing around in this against the AI. For people that also haven't seen, I did finish my the my Star Wars themed Last Jedi team comp, which is fun. So it's pretty good. I like it. The Star Wars themed comp is pretty fun. Other news is I haven't done a lot of VOD reviews, mainly just because life's a little crazy right now. But I think next week it's going to slow down. Granted, I have a couple of videos I need to do. So yeah, Thesis is my recording guy for my actual YouTube channel. And we have a video that two videos that we did that I need to basically edit. And I haven't had time to edit them. So that's a bummer. So that's the main thing there. Is getting them edited and out. Okay. Hey, Thesis. Theoretically, how would an all Sombra team do versus a typical team? So theoretically, an all Sombra team would have a couple problems, mainly because Sombra has that confirming kills issue that happens. Is just because the damage output is okay, and let's say you have the best aiming accuracy in the world, you run into problems. Like you see here, I can't really confirm this kill that easily. I can still do it, but it's not like a walk in the park. So that's pretty much the deal with that, is confirming kills is the problem. Besides that, the ults are pretty nice. You can pretty much ult pretty consistently. The problem is just a follow-up and damage is the issue. But besides that, pretty interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Always a shout out.
Been here all along.
Yeah. So continue on question and answer if we run into any more. Also maybe while we're waiting, my thoughts on Overwatch League, how it's been going. Personally, I've been kind of disappointed in Dallas Fuel, mainly because they do this where they will psych themselves out and they'll kind of start into a snowball loss streak, and it's just they kind of lose their morale, and they've done that since their creation, which is kind of a bummer.
Feeling much better.
It's pretty sad, but you know, it's what you do. I think one thing as well that people forget is it's very early season. So teams that have done bad, it's kind of the idea of you fail to succeed, and if you fail, you know what you did wrong. So people like groups like Soul Dynasty aren't gonna know what they need to really work on that well, because they don't know how their team deals with losing, and they don't know how. Because that's the thing as well, is you need to know how your team is gonna lose. And so that's the big thing with that, is if you know how your team loses, you know how to prevent a snowball loss, which can happen. And Envious doesn't lose, Dallas Fuel, sorry, they don't lose that often. And so it's good that they're losing now, because then they'll suddenly learn how to lose better and basically not lose in the long run, because they get that snowball thing and psych themselves out. Do I have a favorite team? At the moment, yeah, it would be Dallas Fuel, mainly just because I'm a Dallas. I've been a Team Envious fan since they actually were put together. So that's pretty much the team I like in a nutshell. I like the Philadelphia Fusion, mainly because I like Shadowburn. Been a fan of Shadowburn way before We United started, and then he was benched because he was a Genji main. And that's kind of why I liked him, is because he's a very fun player to watch, and he's a Genji main through and through, and so you'll be like, oh, that's bad because he can only play Genji. But the thing is usually, oh yeah, he can only play Genji, and he is successful with it. So Philadelphia Fusion is the other team, personally. But yeah, it's pretty much that with teams. Who's the best two-player combo in the league right now? There's different ones. Personally, I think the tank combo of Diva and Winston's pretty good. But I don't think it's the best combo. Mainly just because there's the Mercy. Mercy's so good and so integral to the team right now. I think a Mercy with any like support player that has a defensive ultimate, so either Lucio or Zen, I would think it's pretty good. But that's just me personally. Mainly because I like that how that type of team comp style works. But yeah, besides that, I'm trying to think. Tracer combos pretty well with some characters. There is combos like Pharmacy. Pharmacy's pretty good. But what's relevant league-wise as a meta always used is kind of hard. It's kind of hard to figure out exactly, but it's possible. Pharmacy has kind of been the original combo that people like. But yeah. Yeah, so that's character-wise. But now I'm thinking about player combo itself. Toby and Jaehong, Ryu Jaehong, pretty good. Mainly just because it's a really good Lucio player and a really good Ana player. The problem is it's a really good Ana player, and Ana's not really good in the meta right now. So you kind of run into problems where Jaehong tries to play Zen, which he's not bad, don't get me wrong. It's just he can do a lot better on the Ana, but the problem is that's not what they need. So that's just me personally. I'm trying to think of what others. I originally liked Raucus and Shadowburn. People forgot about that and they're not on a team anymore, which is kind of a bummer. But Raucus and Shadowburn were pretty good, mainly just because they would Raucus would be the healer and Shadowburn would be the DPS, and they were pretty much on every team together, and they just did really well together. I think Core Envious as well. They were pretty good. I kind of like Core Envious just because, and that for people that don't know, they're the ones that started out on Envious and have stayed on Envious. And that's Taimu, Internet Hulk. No, poor Internet Hulk. He's not on it now. That's kind of a sad subject. But yeah, lag. Coco, Chips, and Taimu, I think, are the core. They have effect on They have effect and Mickey are relatively new. With Seagull, and XQC, and Custa. Custa's pretty good. I kind of like Custa. I like that that teams are running the 2 lanterns comp. I find that very cool. Which for people who don't know the 2 lanterns comp, I suggest watching my team comps video, which is pretty good. Basically, the idea is you ran a 2-front comp where you would run long-range characters, like, and I say Orisa like Orisa, but people usually don't consider her long-range. But surprise, surprise, her gun actually does stuff at range. It's not piddly at range. It has a spread, but it's not piddly. With a soldier in the back, and a Mercy in the back as well. And then you have a team in the front that basically creates space, where the Orisa is able just to throw her shield wherever she wants, and maybe use it as an offensive shield. That's always an option that I've liked, is the offensive shield. Just because you can throw it. If you have to axe all of the healing items and all, but one of the characters, what do you keep? I will keep Lucio, because Lucio is my first character I played, and has been the character I've been playing for a while now. I'm not necessarily a main, kind of am, just because I like Lucio personally. But there's things you can do.
I'm out of here.
There's things you can do. For people who don't know, just whole trick with the Sombra, and just EMPing a Zen.
See you later.
Yeah.
Feeling much
The
better.
other thing is metering damage.
Beacon in
So
place.
I'm thinking I might end the stream now. We've answered a few questions. I'll give a couple minutes for any final questions, and then we'll end out.
Translocating. Much better.
So I'm just now messing around and
He vuelto. Feeling much better.
thanks for all.
I might
Very
need
much
to see.
appreciated.
Looking for me? No, pobrecito.
Oh, come on, just die. No! Oh, I got stunned, I think, out of E. That was the first time I died. Okay. We'll do
Reboot
Thesis.
and try again.
Okay. I think I'm going to
Here I am.
sign off. Let's do some epic play real quick.
See you later.
Whoa. Against the bots.
Damn it. Hey there. Beacon. He vuelto.
Well, I think that's going to be it for me.
Feeling much better.
So, everyone, please like, subscribe, comment. If you have any questions or have any suggestions for any videos in the future to do, or live streams, if you also have any VOD reviews you want me to do, go ahead and send them to me. But besides that, I think I'm going to be done for the day. I'm signing off. So, see everyone. Arrivederci. Sayonara. Have a nice day. Bye.